Do you have a brilliant startup idea but are stuck in the launching phase? Are you feeling overwhelmed by funding, marketing, or just where to start? Don't let your startup idea stay grounded. Visit our website at eapla.com to schedule a Blue Couch meeting and launch your startup journey today.
Welcome back to On the Cusp. I got my co-host Matt Snyder, and boy, we are rolling today.
We're rolling, Dave.
And we're lucky to have Keith Burton, the superintendent of Caddo Parish Schools, with us today. This is really exciting for us.
Thank you. It's exciting and pleasure to be here.
Well, great.
Yeah, it's really exciting. My mom actually was a teacher for you at South Highlands. That has to be a long time ago, 15, 20 years ago.
It would be around 20 years ago. That's right. I was actually able to hire her, and she was an outstanding teacher.
Oh, man, don't put that on tape.
Yeah, outstanding. Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah,
Yes.
So my wife is a teacher, my mother-in-law is a teacher, my mom is a teacher, all that have taught in Caddo Parish through the years. So I'm really excited to have this. And we always talk on this show, Dave and I, about how we make Shreveport better. And it always comes down to two things: getting more companies to come here to provide more jobs, and then I always fight for a better culture and lifestyle for people that live here. My kids have grown up through Caddo Parish Schools, and I've always felt like they're underappreciated in our community. I think we have really great schools. Can you just talk a little about what we have in Shreveport right now from a school perspective?
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've been in this district my entire career, starting my 34th year here. So I've had the opportunity to see this district not only from a teacher, but also a principal in multiple schools, chief academic officer for over 10 years, and now have the pleasure of being superintendent. And you're right. I mean, Caddo Parish, many times we're our worst enemy.
Absolutely.
Shreveport in general does that.
We are too quick, to take the negative route.
Yeah.
And there's things happening in Caddo Parish Schools that people aren't hearing.
Well, I think, if you look at, first of all, let's just look at what the data says. Recently, we were very proud to be ranked as a B district. That's incredible because that is solely based upon student test performance, student academic data. And so we're very pleased about that, to be surrounded by a community that has, DeSoto Parish rated as an A, Bossier Parish rated as a B, now Caddo, one of the largest urban districts in the state of Louisiana, rated as a B. That's incredible. Also can add to that, because not only were we recognized from our state level, but we were recently recognized through the nation, looking at how districts recovered after the pandemic. We know that many schools or school districts are still in math and in reading far behind where they were before the pandemic. And one of the things that's nice is Caddo Parish led the state of Louisiana in reading growth since COVID. So we are leading the state. We were second in math, and Louisiana was second. I mean, Louisiana led the nation in reading recovery. We were second in leading the nation in math recovery, which was incredible. And too often Louisiana, we point to ourselves as being 50th or 49th. Well, guess what, guys? No longer.
That's awesome.
We are making incredible academic growth. We are being recognized not only in Baton Rouge, but around the nation for the recovery. And this, again, it's not anyone's opinion. It's strictly based around what does the data show.
Yeah,
so we're
Keith,
very proud about that.
Let me ask, let's go back a little, because I think the normal person doesn't understand this. I've got a little eye into this from my wife, who was the testing Algebra 1 teacher at Southwood High School for a lot of years. The testing situation is very different than when I was in school. These teachers working so hard on getting their kids prepared to be able to compete nationally and the test scores to show up. I've been very impressed by that system. It seems more
very deliberate,
direct.
very
Yeah, it all began with No Child Left Behind, ensuring that was a national push to really raise accountability all throughout the nation. Louisiana, though, especially under John White's superintendency, really raised the bar. And when I tell you raised the bar, I'm not talking about just raised it higher than Mississippi or Arkansas or our neighbors, but I'm saying even higher than Massachusetts or Connecticut or New York City, many of the states in the Northeast around what are we going to expect from our students. And the accountability system, really, again, it is based around national norm, national criterion reference tests that are very difficult. And so you're looking at comparing our students nationally around ACT performance, SAT performance, our LEAP test. I'm telling you, if anyone wants to go online and download what we're expecting 3rd, 4th, 5th, 8th graders to do on the LEAP test, it is incredible.
It really is. Like watching Kathleen get these kids ready for this algebra test, I'm like, I'm glad I'm not taking this thing.
Yeah. Well, I think you hit something that a lot of people don't realize. We have students graduating from Caddo Parish Schools on a national merit
all
scale.
the time.
All the time.
All the time. We lead this entire region with the number of students who are not only national merit semifinalists, but also finalists.
And, that's important to, Dr. George and I as economic developers at the BRF, they come into Shreveport and they see the negative and you don't have the workforce. Well, I want to say, no, that's not true. Our education system is producing top tier individuals, that are ready to take jobs, and they're here.
Well, and the other part about that is also families that come into our district, they have lots of choices.
Right.
That's what's right. That's one thing that's incredible. If you want the traditional high school experience of going and you certainly want to have, let's say, equal prioritization of academics and athletics, then we have that program for you. But if you also want to really have just an exceptional academic journey as a high school student that would provide you with dual enrollment where you can actually leave high school, go into college as a junior, and be able still to have, if you're staying in Louisiana, 4 years of TOPS, which actually could carry you into graduate school.
It does. I've seen it.
Then we have that option for you. You mentioned national merit semifinalists and finalists. I also say go back and look at the number of students who are making not just high levels on their ACT, but perfect scores on the ACT.
It's crazy.
It is absolutely crazy.
I knew 2 kids in the last 3 years that just kind of were in our life in different ways that made perfect scores on the ACT. I don't remember hearing of that
that
ever
didn't happen in Leesville,
kids.
where I grew up. And nothing against Vernon Parish Schools.
Come on, Leesville.
But didn't happen often in Webster Parish either, where I grew up. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
These kids are built different. I mean, I grew up playing.
But it's a workforce thing, and we don't do a good enough job of promoting workforce in this. And, Matt and I are on the entrepreneurial side, and I know you have always been a big advocate for junior achievement. Lots of support from you directly. You've served on the board multiple times. We love that. I wish we could have entrepreneurship as a straight curriculum at the high school level. I think that would do a lot because we want people to understand you can stay in Shreveport, Bossier, and do your own thing.
One of the things that we're really trying to build is the awareness of what is out in the job market for students nowadays. And we are building 2, matter of fact, we're very proud that we're opening 2 K-8, not only STEM, but also career and technical academies beginning next year. That's going to be open enrollment, which means you can live anywhere in the district. We will provide transportation for you to attend. And the sole purpose of both of those is to be able to provide a very broad spectrum of experiences so students recognize what's available in the STEM fields, what's available around, let's say, the typical career and technical fields that we may see, such as plumbing and architecture and those type of things, but also what's available in jobs that haven't even been defined yet.
Yes,
right.
We're wanting to be able to build not only the soft skills, the communication skills, the problem solving, building that resilience that they will need in order to go into the job market.
I feel like it used to be from school to parents, it was just delivered very straightforward. You go to school, you get your grades, you go to college, you go get a job, and that's what we're going to do. Then you try to retire, and then you die.
That's right.
That's not the world we live in now.
No.
And I think the schools and I think parents are getting better at sharing that message with kids. I mean, do you see that in Caddo Parish?
I do. And, really, when probably all of us entered the job market, we were looking for careers.
Right.
Yes.
Kids nowadays are not entering the job market looking for careers. They are looking to satisfy a season, the present season of their life.
Right.
And so we need to make sure that we are equipping them with those experiences at a very young age. I mean, I'm so proud of what we're doing with many of our high schools that typically would not provide those experiences. I mean, we have partnerships with not only our local hospitals here, but also businesses. We're working with the Chamber of Commerce to be able to provide those workforce experiences and internships, again, to broaden the awareness so that we are connecting every student in this district to a future that leads them to a high-paying job and employment.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'm from a personal experience, I got both of my girls are going to college in North Louisiana. I want an opportunity to keep at least one of them in Shreveport, Bossier. Okay?
Yeah.
So I don't want everybody to think I got to leave to go get a job.
Yeah.
That's a good transition.
True.
Your girls are going into the education field, Dave, right?
One of them.
And so one of the other things that never gets talked about, I don't think, when you talk Caddo Parish Schools, is the people that make up Caddo Parish Schools, the teachers, the administration. I could sit here with you all day long and tell great stories from when I worked at Raising Cane's, being involved in the community and schools, and what happens with... I met my wife serving chicken fingers with Jeff Roberts at Southwood High School. She came walking down the hall. I said, "Ooh, I'm going to marry her." And I did.
Worked out pretty well for you, didn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
So the people, the teachers, the people you have, I've been blown away about that. I mean, that has to transcend into results.
Yeah, I stand in front of our teachers, our brand new teachers each and every year, and also those that are going through certification. And I tell them, one of the very first things I say is, please know that we are not a district of desperation. We are ensuring that the people that we are bringing in are high quality. They have been prepared through not only their education journey, but also their experiences to walk into a classroom and be successful. I would much rather provide a great teacher with 35 plus kids because I know she can handle it, rather than taking those 35 kids, splitting them in half, and one group gets a great teacher and the other one gets a subpar teacher.
Right.
So we are focused on ensuring that we're recruiting the very best and brightest. Part of that, I know that we internally have to make sure that we're providing them with salary and benefits that's going to be...
I was about to ask, do you have the funding? Do you have what you need as a superintendent to compete?
Well, that's probably a mixed question. I mean, the answer there is maybe. But we've done a better job recently in the past few years of really ensuring that we're much more efficient with our funding. I mean, we've had a balanced budget for the last 10 plus years. We will continue having a balanced budget, but we also now are operating with very healthy reserves, which means that we've done a good job with ensuring that, especially with some of the stimulus money that has come through, that we've spent that wisely, and then it's therefore allowed us to be able to have healthy reserves that not only, by the way, as far as taxpayers, that's as we go out and we sell bonds, we're getting a much better interest rate because Standard & Poor's has recognized that we have a very healthy fiscal standing, so which is nice. Key. So it certainly helps our taxpayers. But the other portion is we're wanting to make sure that we're building budgets around what works. And so we are really scrubbing. I don't want to certainly make the reference to what's happening nationally, but we certainly are trying to look and create very efficient programs and systems and budgets so that we can continue this trajectory of making sure that we're that we're not only producing a great product, but we also are spending our money so that we can sustain that
That's
growth
absolutely
in the
key.
district.
Right, because
Yeah.
Dave always talks about jobs. I mean, Caddo Parish Schools has to be one of the top employers
Absolutely.
in our area,
Definitely.
correct?
Yeah, we have 5,000 plus employees. We are looking, and I mean and those employees run the gamut from from not only that lady who may be cooking that meal at very early in the morning, that may be the first warm meal that child's had
Right.
in a day, and then all the way to that bus driver, to that security person, all the way to that teacher and principal. And so we have a wide variety, and we want to make sure that we're lifting them all up. And I think, to kind of go back to your point around the connection to the business world, I do think North Louisiana is on the cusp of some really great
Yeah, absolutely.
turnaround.
We do, too.
I mean,
We do, too. We feel it.
If you look at what's happening in the South, I mean, everything's kind of pointing north. We've got the infrastructure here. We've got, not only the interstates, I know the connectivity is going to happen there. I think it's pertinent that we as a school system recognize if we're really going to sustain that momentum, we've got to improve. And so we are certainly focused on ensuring that we're going to have a school system that is attractive to families from outside the state, and that they're looking at what we're offering and saying, you know what, crime is good, the infrastructure is good, the education opportunities are excellent, because not only can I go to a traditional school, but I also can go to one of the multiple magnet programs they have. You know what? And you can't find that around us.
And that message that Shreveport is good has to be in the schools.
Yeah.
And particularly it has to be in the high schools. Because you are talking to the kids that are about to make the decision to live here or not. I always, when people ask me what I do, who I am, why I do the things I do, I always answer with the same answer. I always say, I'm the kid at Captain Shreve High School in 1999 that was absolutely angry as every kid talked about how bad Shreveport was and how they were out of here.
Well, I think y'all have done a really good job. I mean, when I look back 10 years ago, I never saw anything about the Caddo Parish education system and where they're at, which really was what led us to invite you, to come in and be on the cusp. All I saw was the negative.
Yeah.
Okay? And it's easy for the negative using, the software that on everybody's personal learning device, and they all have a personal learning device that they carry with them 24/7. That is, the negative comes up first.
Yeah.
And what we have to do in Shreveport-Bossier is we got to bring the positive stuff that you're talking about up to number one. That's what they see.
But I don't necessarily see it as only talking about the positive. I think what we are able to do is say, look, here's what's working.
Yeah.
Let's all work together to accelerate what is working, but also let's work together hand in hand to address the things that aren't working.
Yes, and we've got to work hand in hand. When you're pumping out these positive, high-level students, we got to work hand in hand in keeping them, some of them coming
here.
back.
Absolutely.
Because if we produce a billion A+ students and they all go all across the world, we're still sitting here, the three of us, talking in 20 years and about the same situation.
Yeah.
We've got to get these kids to come bring their talents. I think of like LeBron, bring your talents to Shreveport.
And what's going to do that? They've got to have a high-paying job.
That's
They've got to
right.
have a solid job. But they also have to have a community that has such unique culture.
What they want.
That it's going to be
They
able
got to
to
have Key Mexico.
That's right.
They got to have a music festival. They got to have
We
something
just
to raise
had
their
Mark
kids.
Crawford in from the Airport Authority, and he tells an incredible story about what's going on out there. And people don't realize that. Combined with what you're doing at the Caddo Parish School System, you're right. We're on the cusp. This is great. All right. Thank you so much.
Always. It's a pleasure.
All right. That was great. Thanks,
Good to
man.
see you.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
Keith.
Thank you.
Enjoy the podcast? We would love your feedback about today's show and who you think should be our next guest. Send us an email at info@eapla.com. Also, be sure to share the show and leave a comment on our social media post.